tell us what it's like to be an orphan in Mexico. Because we had somebody come on, Dr. Trin, who goes and handles orphanages in his home country of Vietnam. And he said, you're not just dealing with people in a third world country. You're dealing with people who are outcasts, who otherwise would be living on the streets if their parents died. If there's no family, they're alone. They're street kids.
Exactly. It's just these kids, every kid that I met at the orphanage, I don't know if it's right for me to say it, every single kid has a trauma. And it's very hard because you need to be mentally prepared to be able to look at their face and say, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And have a smile, even though you're choking and you're like, wow, what's going to happen to these kids?
To be honest, Lucy, that's the feeling I had when you first showed me videos and photos, and you can just see their skin, right? How it looks leathery, kind of like just old and beat up from, not having a good, healthy life, right? As we all know, if you're not eating well, if you're not, right, that's going to affect your skin and just the way they look. And obviously, like Lucy's given many examples of them not having
Who
food.
pays for all this? I mean, who does the state support orphanages, or is it church, or are many kids not even in an I get the picture that this is just a tiny drop in a bucket of a bigger problem here.
Exactly, yes. Well, most of the orphanage and TJs are owned by the government. So the government gives them just a little bit, just
enough, right?
just for the beans, for a bag of beans of rice.
Yeah.
So everything else comes from donations. They are, I don't know exactly how many orphanages that are registered, but a lot of them, they're not registered. So we always try to go to this orphanage that we're going to give ourselves, and we're going to keep going back. So the kids know that there's someone that believes in them, someone that delivers love. And there's so many orphanage and TJs.
And what happens to these kids when they grow up? At some point, they have to age out of the system. For example, not to go into deep stories again, but people have heard the story of my daughter before here. We adopted her from foster care here. She was born in a little village in Mexico and brought her illegally and
God
beat up
bless
and
you
fell
for
into
that.
foster care. A horrible story, but had a happy ending. And in foster care, there's about 500,000 kids roughly,
Yes.
more or less. And half of them never go home to anybody. And most of those kids end up out on the street and they become drug addicts or prostitutes or other stuff because there's no life skill there. There's no support mechanism. They don't know. There's no education. There's no opportunity. So if they don't get adopted out, they often end up in terrible situations.